Good morning, St. Lucia. Thank you so much for being with us. It is Monday and it is the 21st of March, 2022. Can you believe it? The time just keeps rolling by so quickly. You hardly have time for you to realize what's going on around you. Everything is just moving so quickly. But you know that once you tune in for your morning update, we slow things down a little bit. We zero in on some of the most important things that you need to keep your eye on. So this morning will be no different, and we have two special segments for you. I am Lisa Joseph, coming to you live from the studios of the National Television Network, the Government Information Service. So, on to the important things, and hopefully we will get some life-changing moments. You'll be able to say, that's information I can use to make a fundamental step into securing your future, making, certain directions into deciding on what path your life is going to take. I want to say a very big welcome to Dr. Randy Glean. He is on island, a guest of the South Louis Community College, and he is the Associate Vice President of Global Studies at the University of Western Illinois University, WIU. And we're happy to have Dr. Glean here with us. And just before we came on, he was saying, it's not my first time, it's not my first rodeo for St. Lucia. And so we're going to get to know about what has brought him here this time, but I want some backstory.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know that if you've been to St. Lucia more than once, it means you are totally in love with the island. Dr. Glean, welcome.
Thank you, and good morning. Yes, in love is infatuated, in love with, enamored of. You can just pick your words. It's home.
All of those good things.
All of the above. All of the above. You can't not love St. Lucia. My history with St. Lucia goes back to 1995, and the first students I brought from St. Lucia was that year, and have probably, I think the number has exceeded 200 since then. It's closer to 250. I have been through the region, of course, over 1,600 students from the region. But naturally, yes, this is my liming spot when I come to the Caribbean.
Now, you say you brought students to St. Lucia. Tell us about that.
St. Lucia.
Oh, from St. Lucia.
From St. Lucia to the States. Well, in my career, one of the things that I sought to do, and that was back in 1993, was to create opportunities for Caribbean students to study in the States at affordable rates. I mean, the out-of-state cost, the international tuition was prohibitive, and the numbers were very small. It was really just something that the privileged could access. So we took on this challenge to create affordable opportunities, and I did that. I was in Texas starting in 1993 in the region. 1995 is when it hit St. Lucia, and that program yielded about 1,600 students from the Caribbean. I've since moved on looking for broader opportunities, a university with more programs, more avenues, lower cost, better accessibility. So in the last 2 years, I have been at Western Illinois University promoting something that I think is a good fit, a better fit, more amenable, more affordable, more flexible for students from St. Lucia and, of course, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean.
We got to some of the other prerequisites, but the cost, as you indicated, is what is the most prohibitive for most of our students. How is the university making it more affordable? Explain that to us.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're going right to the part I usually say for last, so let's hit it first. One of the things that happened, a lot of students would come up to the States, and I had personal experiences with that, and then they would essentially have no value from what they did at South Louis. They would come up and still spend 4, sometimes 5 years trying to complete a degree degree after having spent 2 years at Sir Arthur. So one of the first things we put in place was to have a full articulation agreement working with Sir Arthur so that everything they did that was academic can transfer over. Whatever is missing from the core curriculum, we would then allow them to do it online. So they're not incurring the costs of room, board, insurance, incidentals, all the costs that come with being in the States. So they would have 1 year online to clean up anything that's missing in the prerequisites, and then they would come to campus for 2 years only. Again, when you come to campus, there are additional costs. So that's the first cost saving. The second cost saving is a generous package of partial scholarships or earned scholarships. It's not a catch-all discount that, one fee fits all. We look at the students individually, look at their accomplishments. Let me give you an example. If a student had a 3.95, well, that's an outstanding student. I have one such student from St. Lucia. Well, we look at what is the best option. That student could potentially earn a full tuition scholarship. I said tuition, not room and board. A full tuition scholarship, so would have no fee responsibility. Can come up to the States knowing that you only have to worry about your room and board and personal upkeep. A student who's done 3.5, that student would get about 3/4 of their tuition off. So leaving them, I can put it in actual dollars, residual cost somewhere in the $5,000 for the year range, $2,000, less than $3,000 a semester. When a student is online, we give them significant assistance and let them utilize their earned scholarships online. So we have students now in St. Lucia, actually, I can actually name, whose tuition for the semester is less than $1,000 US. If their grades are average or slightly below average, then it would be slightly higher because the scholarships are based on earned GPA. And we take the earned GPA verbatim from our partner school, Sir Arthur Lewis, so that we're not weighting it and scaling it down. So essentially, we've become emergent and full partners, intertwined with the structure in St. Lucia, recognize the education they had and given them an affordable pathway to complete their degrees. We also have opportunities for postgraduate students. And again, in that construct, the same applies. A lot of the degrees can be done online fully. Some of them can be done partially online, like you would do year 1 online in a master's degree and come up for only year 2, serious cost savings. But we also have assistantships, other forms of funding. So I think this, I'm excited, as you can tell, I'm rambling, because this is the best opportunity I've had to provide to students from the Caribbean. And there's no doubt in my mind that once they access it and get on it, they will see that, yes, this is the pathway they've been looking for.
Right, and so what are the degrees that you can achieve over at Western?
Well, massive. There are more than 60 baccalaureate degrees, and some schools would offer chemistry, biology. Well, we would have biochem. We do have forensic chemistry. We have GIS, and not just geography, and environmental. Biology, environmental systems. I mean, a lot of high-tech degrees. We have supply chain management. You can think of the nuanced fields, that is modern today, to the way courses are tweaked to intertwine with technology and to make it more amenable to the workforce. And our programs are very modern in that sense. It's not the traditional stagnant, read, write, talk, or math, English, history. There's a lot of technology. For example, data analytics, business analytics. We're going where the job demand is. I mean, we may be speaking in some ways to the job demand in the U.S., but I think it's global.
It's global. It is indeed global. Now, we know you have the partnership with Sir Arthur, and that's a great thing. Right. More pathways for our students there. What about individuals who have not been graduates of Sir Arthur Lewis Community College? How can they too participate and access?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I said Sir Arthur, but if you are we've had students from defunct institutions that operated here previously. If you're a UE grad or if you earned your degree elsewhere, then obviously the graduate pathways are open. If you're speaking of students straight from high school, so that's one of the areas I will apologize for, and let me try to make the argument why you shouldn't send that student directly. Yes, I'm actually speaking against the university's interest, but I don't represent any institution, and I've never done that in my journeys through the region. I represent the students' interests. Western Illinois is a public school. This is not a private school that's looking to grab tuition. So I can comfortably tell a student, no, it's not in your interest to come at this time. I am a fan of Sir Arthur Lewis. Let me make this very clear. I'm a fan of all the community colleges in the Caribbean because as an educationist, I see their value. I know what they bring to the table in terms of the quality and preparedness and readiness of the students from the region to tackle American universities. I am not discounting or disclaiming the high schools, but I do not believe that the secondary education is enough preparation to conquer the pace and the rigidity or the rigor at a university. I believe that if you did the associate's degree at Sir Arthur, one, you're a transfer student, you avail yourself of a better platform from which to launch into your baccalaureate degree. You're more mature. I am an absolute fan. I think if parents want to send their students directly to the US, that is their prerogative, in which case I would say as a compromise, at least do 1 year at Sir Arthur Lewis. Because I know the teachers, a lot of them were my former students. The quality is good. Sometimes we have something here locally and we don't accord it the respect it deserves. So, no apologies for endorsing Sir Arthur.
And again, as you indicated, it really prepares the students for that rigidity.
Absolutely.
That they would require to be a university student.
Sure.
But what about, so yes, you get the Sir Arthur Lewis courses are now accredited.
Right.
Whatever that you're missing in, as you indicated, you could do that online,
Sure.
fill that in. Once you get to Western Illinois
Right.
now, in terms of being able to integrate, how does the university now take care of that Caribbean student
Absolutely.
who is of a different cultural background and
Right.
so many other different nuances?
Absolutely. Very good question. So I'll give you that answer. Look who you're speaking with. The senior person who is responsible for all international students, we have over 800 of them from all over the world, just happens to be someone of Caribbean descent, happens to be someone who has done the Caribbean and done it well for many, many years. So when a student is coming up, that parent could just relax because it's like you have an uncle right there, and that's me. I'm very hands-on, very personal. We will make sure that we pick you up at the airport, your housing is ready. You're not going to be forced to live in university housing. It's not always conducive to Caribbean students. You want an apartment, you want a little space, you want your private bedroom. The cost is extremely low because we're located in a really small city of 20,000 people. It's a college town. It's 3 hours west of Chicago. So if parents are concerned, my God, my kid's going to Chicago. Sometimes people hear Illinois and think Chicago.
Yes.
There's no Chicago where we are. Chicago is 3 hours away. The good thing is you can jump on the Amtrak train for $21 and you're in Chicago. But we're kind of in a Miko, it's a banana belt, it's a Dennery, it's a really calm place with, and I like those towns. It's a calm place with a lot of corn and soy. It's an agricultural base. You have to try very hard to get in trouble in that place. So
we can see a lot of St. Lucia.
You will feel at home, exactly. I have students there currently in my first couple groups, and they're from, I don't have a St. Lucian yet, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts, Nevis. I have those students, and I have, several St. Lucians. I believe 11 of them already started online. So they're in preparation to start migrating to campus. I am very, very comfortable with that environment. The only thing I will warn, and again, I'm really honest, and you can't do this for 30 years if you're not credible, if you're not sincere. In my honesty, I would say winters are real. This is the Midwest. So if you're coming, be prepared. We had, 3 different snowfalls of 9 inches or more this season, and it was a tough winter all around, but the winters are very harsh. But other than that, a very beautiful environment. The campus is large, but it's motorable, it's walking, comfy. It has wild deer walking around. You can hear coyotes howling at night. We're really out in rural America.
So we have 2 minutes left, and I want to be able to give you the opportunity to talk about the performance now of the students, because you may have a top performing student while they are at Arthur Lewis Community College, but once that switch is made, then perhaps people struggle.
Absolutely.
So how does the college really assist students who are struggling?
Right. Well, Western Illinois is a Division I school, and the intensity, the rigor is reasonable. It's reasonable, moderate, but it's university. You're going to have to burn the midnight oil. If you have a good student at Sir Arthur, it's very unlikely that is going to be a weak student in any U.S. university. If you have even just a slightly above average student at Sir Arthur, that student would typically excel. Don't sell our students short. There's no accident that you have 2 Nobel Prize winners from this island. St. Lucian students are brilliant, and when you take them off this little island and out of the swimming pool and throw them in the ocean, they swim very well with the best and with the sharks. So I have absolutely no worry. But we do have safety nets. We have counseling centers. We have tutelage. And our professors are outstanding. Our students who are currently online will tell you they're really enjoying the experience. We have not lost any of the students from the Caribbean that have signed up. So I feel very confident in the university's ability to deliver and get the student across the finish line. Moreover, I want to state that I'm not finished with young people when they get a bachelor's degree. I'm there. I'm pushing them to the next level. I can find funded masters, whether at Western Illinois or other schools. I have colleagues and friends in about 60 different universities, and I will bring them down here as well and have them offer options. So this isn't about Western Illinois. This is about my people. I'm a Caribbean person. I plan to bring all my friends down here starting as early as this summer from other institutions and say, give me a package, bring a discount, bring a scholarship. Let's go talk to my people.
Dr. Randy Glean, Associate Vice President of Global Studies over at the Western Illinois University. Thank you so much for popping in and giving us that information. Now, today, Monday, 21st March, Dr. Glean is speaking at the Arthur Lewis Community College. That's happening at 2 p.m. on the campus, so make sure you're watching here this morning, you're interested, you want to know more, and for the students of Arthur Lewis Community College, also go to that session. Now, on Tuesday, the 22nd of March, over at the Castries City Hall, what we refer to as the Town Hall, that's happening 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Dr. Glean, along with some of the other colleagues, Arthur Lewis Community College, they'll be out there to answer all of your questions. Once again, that's happening on Tuesday, 22nd March, at the Castries City Hall, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Go out there and learn how you can further secure your future. Stay with us. When we come on back, we'll be having our second set of guests.
The future is ever-changing. Communities, jobs, and economies are continually being transformed. This is why we need incredible minds to connect problems with innovative solutions, to disrupt and create new industries, to enable businesses to think sustainably, to shape evidence-based leaders and the next generation of visionaries. SALCC helps you to shape your career. Your passion is calling. Your future is standing by. Tap into your potential. Virtual and on-site classes, dedicated faculty, diverse student experiences, and highly recognized programs. Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. Apply today and fast-track your career.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join revolution.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
She's been watching, waiting, wondering when the sands of time will give way to a tide of change, and for yesterday and today to become a new tomorrow. For a time when her sun can kiss the cheeks of your loved one, and her stars can twinkle in her honeymoon skies. When her earthly embrace will reassure and calm your soul. And her unique view can change your whole perspective. Proudly, she has risen to meet new challenges and to provide safe harbor to all who reach her shores. For her hopes and dreams still stand, shoulder to shoulder, a precious reminder of experiences yet to come. So, wherever your moments and memories take you, let her sense of adventure set you free. She is Saint Lucia. Let her inspire you.
Thank you for staying with us. And we're back with, as I told you, our second set of guests for this Monday. And we have the founder of this wonderful organization called Do Nation Foundation. I love this name. We'll get to why it is called that. And we also have the events director with us. So we want to say good morning to Diane Felicia and as well as Anicia Fowler. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming through. Do Nation Foundation, it's an intriguing name. I love it. Why Do Nation? How did you come up with that?
Because when we, as an executive, came up with the name, and just also the members as well, when we came up with the name, we thought about doing for the entire nation, not just for one set, but for everybody. So we were like, we're working to make a better contribution to help, see how we could, make a difference to the entire nation. So it's about doing, it's about getting things done, and we're like, you know what, Do Nation Foundation, that's the great way to go.
Now, we have a number of, civil society organizations, charitable organizations around the place. Why did you feel it was necessary for you to have another organization that looks at our socio-economic fabric and, addressing social ills and so forth? Why Do Nation? Was it absolutely necessary?
In terms of, I think it was, in terms of us starting together, it's really about where I came from as a child, in terms of my background, in terms of my upbringing, in terms of some of the social ills that I as an individual went through, and from being involved with other organizations, what I realized was that we were not really tackling the social ills in terms of what is. So what is causing poverty? What is causing the abuse? What is causing divorce? What is causing depression? And out of that, we were like, you know what, let's deal with the social ills of society and not just come. Yes, we may help somebody in terms of giving them a hamper or giving them, some form of assistance. But we as a foundation, what we do is dig deeper. After we've helped you, we want to just not, just give you a hamper which may last for half a day, but give you an opportunity that will change your life. So we dig deeper in the issue in terms of what is causing you to need the hamper. Is it employment? Do you need motivation? Do you need empowerment? And we deal with these issues as well, so that that individual will become independent and not dependent.
So Anicia, when you think about now carving out activities, events that will be addressing exactly what Diane said, what are some of the factors you think of in terms of being able now to get those activities that will specifically do what Diane has outlined?
What we have done, and me as one of my major roles, and we say major roles, but as a volunteer you don't only have one role, but in sourcing and coming up with events, what we do is to look at what is going on in schools, in different communities. We are a community-based organization as well. So we get feedback from our members, we do our research, and we take it to the next level, and then we come up with the appropriate event to address the existing situation at hand.
Now, you launched in 2021 in January. Since then, in terms of being able to get membership volunteers, how has that been on the ground?
That has been it has really been not just you get persons really wanting to be part of the foundation, but you also get people following. In terms of the response and persons wanting to be part of the organization, that has been forthcoming. And we invite persons who have various professions, and ways that they could contribute towards the organization. One of the things that we do as the organization, we work in keeping with the SDGs. So for instance, we have ending poverty, zero poverty, hunger, partnership for the goals. So whatever we do is in keeping with the SDGs. We ensure that we work alongside the SDGs. So in terms of that and persons reaching out, the results has been overwhelming. And not just persons from St. Lucia, but we have a lot of persons from international organizations reaching out, wanting to collaborate with Donation Foundation on initiatives.
Yeah, so you have a number of local and international partner agencies. You want to go through some of who they are?
Sure. If you notice, we are actually wearing Good Deeds Day shirts. So Donation Foundation is actually the lead organization for Good Deeds Day St. Lucia. And with that, we have a number of activities where we go out through the communities. Again, when I spoke about the SDGs, which is Partnership for the Goals, we have an event coming up April 2nd. And what we have done is reached out to different NGOs and corporate sector who will be part of that event happening, which is an exhibition of just showcasing the different NGOs and what they're about whilst they are giving out to the vulnerable. So we have NGOs like Rise St. Lucia on board, Safe Spaces, the St. Lucia Red Cross, the Salvation Army, Well Ladies Talk, NCF. We have companies like Sandals, Massey Stores, Blue Waters, Lucilec on board with us, KFC. We also have Cutty Ranks. So on Saturday, in terms of recognizing Good Deeds Day and really working in terms of SDG number 7, which is Partnership for the Goals, we're going to have a lot of different NGOs coming out to giving information about their organization, and also whilst doing that, giving to the vulnerable. So that is happening on Saturday. We also have on April 3rd, again, Good Deeds Day, we will be celebrating. What we have done is reached out to all the faith-based organizations on that day, asking them to really speak about the importance of doing good and drive that message. However, we will be having a mass in Soufrière with Father Albert, and we have reached out to the Alexander Foundation, again, Partnership for the Goals, who will be hosting an activity there with some children and feeding some of the less fortunate people of Soufrière. So we ensure that we work and we collaborate with other NGOs. So that is Good Deeds Day. We have Girls Who Brunch. Of course, I'm wearing the mask. So we have Girls Who Brunch Tour. It is basically an organization from the US. Again, we are the lead organization for the St. Lucia experience. So what is happening is that event is basically about empowerment of girls from 9 to 17. We would have already started with the Fuasho community, where we had over 20 girls present. We did give them some gift and some care packages, and it was really uplifting to hear from the social transformation officer when she said that, ever since, Girls Who Brunch came to the Fuasho area, she saw a difference in terms of, the way the young ladies spoke, the way they carry themselves. So it was really an uplifting thing to hear that from the social transformation officer. We have the Deeds-Driven Dad. That's another initiative where we have partnered with Deeds-Driven Dad out of the US. Ever so often we hear about dads going to prison, dads not taking care of their responsibilities. So we, again, and we just want to make that, because, most times when persons see women involved, they always think that it's a gender-based. We are not a gender-based organization. We deal with both men and women issues. So basically we have Deeds-Driven Dads, where we will be working with dads in terms of motivating, empowering, and it will be basically teaching them to become leaders in their community, to become persons that would be recognized and appreciated in their community. And not just that, but to also teach them the importance of family, the importance of taking care of their children. So it's going to be an ongoing experience, and they will also be taught different life skills. So that is what we're doing when it comes to the men. And we want to take it a step further, where we want to also work alongside the family court. That when these men come out there, they're not just maybe sent to prison or just sent, in terms of you give your child like $250 and that's it. But we want to implement a program where they are encouraged to spend time with their children. Maybe every weekend take them to for ice cream, go to pizza. So that is something that we are working on, and it will be happening in May. So we have the Deeds-Driven Dad we have partnered with. We have the Girls Who Brunch, and we have Good Deeds Day. We are also part of the the International Cleanup Day organization. Again, we do a lot of cleanup activities in terms of taking care of the environment. So we try our best to do a little bit of everything. And, when we do that, we encourage a lot of community engagement. We encourage persons coming together, and by that time, now we have the COVID pandemic. Yes, it's a bit relaxed, but you would find a lot of persons suffering from depression, from loneliness, and with us having most of these initiatives in the community and having persons to come out and be part of that, not just in person, but we also try to have a lot of Facebook presence, that persons could see what is happening and they could be part of it. So, we have a lot more organizations from, especially overseas. We just partnered with the Free Winds, and we started the Stay Well campaign. It's basically going around. We were just at the John Odlum School, speaking to the students about the importance of staying well, the importance of taking care of themselves, the impact that it may have in terms of them not taking care of themselves, the impact it may have on the economy, the family, the school. So it's a lot. We've been doing a lot of community work and reaching out. We were happy that we actually had a session with the Bay Gardens Resort with the management team, and it was really a great experience for us in terms of not just speaking to them about the importance of Stay Well, but the importance of the impact that it would have on the management team, the resort, and the entire country on a whole.
So for you, Anicia, in terms of, I know that since your launch in January, you must have had some great events that have taken place alongside what Dan has outlined. So in terms of what you have successfully and been able to stage, You've had a number of cleanup activities, as Dan indicated. Talk to us about those activities and the level of community involvement you were able to generate and the impact that it has left on the communities.
Okay, so our events range from our soup kitchen drive. We recently, Lisa, if I have to go for our list, it will take us so long. So let me summarize it for you. We recently did we are celebrating National Children Dental Month in February. And we reached out to the dental offices, and let me tell you, just overwhelming response. So we had kids going to have that experience, the underprivileged children, as well as our children with special needs. So what we did, we reached out to the Ministry of Education Special Unit, and they extended the invitation to the Castries Basin Centers. The underprivileged children were also involved, as well as Soufrière. We went as far as Soufrière and Grosley as well. So the children had that experience, which the feedback, and it's still undergoing because of one, the protocols, and two, because they want to take time to give the kids that special experience, cleaning, making sure your teeth is well maintained. And because of some of them are actually on certain medications and stuff, we'll probably give some teeth decay and that kind of stuff. So that event went extremely well. We have our poverty drive, which we had launched, and this is something where it is where we're going to be at various locations island-wide, and we're going to request nicely, politely, where we know solutions are given to give us items. And it can be sanitary items, it can be food items, and these will go towards several of our outreach programs. And what has been happening in the past, Lisa, is that we are getting a lot of calls from persons directly to Mrs. Felicia with regard to items, food items, gas tank. We haven't fed our kids for days. And Mrs. Felicia, our CEO, which I love, would happen on a Sunday to call members to clear the cupboards and to provide 2 baskets in 10 minutes, Lisa. So, and it's a joy for us. I say that because our members are like, okay, I have the lentils, I have the rice, and you'll be surprised what we could get from our cupboards. So we decided to, because of the demand, we decided to do and to come up with programs like that. So persons will be aware that we are seeking those items for persons that are in need, because persons sort of, I guess going outside to really ask is not something that they would want to do, so they'll call a foundation, and maybe not only our foundation, but because of the increase of those calls, we decided to come up with a program where we can get persons to, get the items that they need, and if not at the time, what we will do, we reach out to persons. So we're asking persons when they see us with our Good Deeds T-shirt to really respond to us with regard to our poverty drive, because this is something that's really needed now. We get a lot of requests for that, Lisa.
And because, and the Ministry of Equity, Social Transformation and Empowerment have had them on a few times, and they've made this point that since the pandemic, what we've had is a new sort of a set of poverty emerging, people who are vulnerable. Let me say poverty, but a new vulnerable has emerged. Even people who are working, you have people who are simply working paycheck to paycheck, and for them to be able to take care of the family needs, extremely difficult. So for Donation Foundation, I know that there are certain organizations, maybe you have a sort of because you take international funding, assistance, and so forth, you need to be able to go by certain criteria in order, yes, because you have to account.
Yes.
So for the Donation Foundation, how do you now manage this new vulnerable? Because because people believe that working people ought not to receive any sort of charitable assistance. So how do you now make that determination of how do you reach out to the new vulnerable? I know it's a difficult thing.
Yes,
it's a difficult question.
Yes, it is.
What we have spoken about as an organization is that we don't judge persons based on the way where they live, how they dress, and we take it from there. Because sometimes I might be looking all pretty and I'm wearing my sister's dress. So we don't judge people based on where they live and even where they work, because sometimes, because of the COVID pandemic, you have, persons' salaries being, less than what they used to get, especially, in the hospitality industry, they would have different, implications when it comes to travelers. So we don't do that. However, what we do, and I noticed that you touched on funding, is that a lot of the funding, a lot of the assistance that we get is actually from corporate organizations. And also from members as well, making personal contributions, so out-of-pocket contributions. We are basically working on different fundraising activities because, whilst the corporate sector will help us, there is so much that they can do.
They too are stretched.
But yes, they too are stretched. So what we try to do is try to see how we could be creative in terms of asking persons to donate. Some persons may not be able to donate in cash, but whoever could donate in kind, and that is how we get most of our initiatives going. Either the members covering some of the cost, we get corporate sponsors, or we get different persons. We get Friends of Donation Foundation who doesn't want their names to be mentioned, and they make different contributions to us. So this is how we really get it done. In terms of international funding, it is work in progress because it takes a longer time to get international funding. So it's work in progress, but in terms of the support from the corporate sector, it has been overwhelming. We just want to thank the different organizations, the different establishments that has been supporting, the work of Donation Foundation. If I may, I could call them out. We have Marcy Stores, we have Blue Waters, we have Heineken St. Lucia, we have Lucilec, we have KFC, we have Sandals, Unique Vacations, and Goddard's Catering. So a lot of these organizations has been really supporting us and ensuring that we do the work. And what we encourage persons to do is that whilst the organizations are helping us, we also want to help them. So it's just a two-way thing. It is not about they giving to us all the time, but what can we do, for them in terms of helping them out as an organization, volunteering our services to do different, things with the organizations. So this is how we get it done when it comes to Donation Foundation. And again, I really call our team No Sleep, because we don't sleep. 2 hours, 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, we are on the phone, and it's all about getting it done and having the passion. And one of the things that stands out with the team is the passion and the commitment, because sometimes we may do something but don't have the passion for it, and I think that's what's really causing the difference with us in terms of the way that we have been able to really achieve a lot of the things. I know I heard Anicia mention one of a lot of our initiatives, but one of the things that really stood out with us is that during the COVID pandemic, we had what we call Iron Chef Mom, which is still ongoing. And what we did was basically reached out to Ministry of Equity to provide us with a few moms who are readily available to learn the skill. So basically what we did was teach these moms how they could prepare breakfast using our local items. So it is still ongoing. We started with Vieux Fort souffle and Choiseul. So we have had that, and it will be ongoing because of the COVID pandemic. We had to stop a bit, but we will be going to the different communities. So these are some of the things that we do in terms of trying to make things better in the household. And when we do that, we would be able to help curb a lot of the social ills in society. So, you know, sometimes we hear about children on the blocks and all of these things, but what is on the block that is causing them to want to be there? So these are the areas that we are looking to really find out the what is.
So in terms of, well, along those lines, when you are receiving the call for assistance, what has been, you know, perhaps the most need that you've had to fill for those seeking the assistance? What's top of the list of the needs list? Anissa looks like, well, I'm not sure if I can isolate what it is.
I do think I can isolate or even identify what is top. What we do, we try to help as much as possible. If we can't do it at the time, we do our outreach program. Where
what are people asking for the most?
Food. Food, and this is why we have our poverty. Food. Food is is at the top of the list. Items, food, personal things as well for girls. And this is that is on our top of our list. And this is what created the poverty drive that we want to do. We want to start off.
And a great impact is also having on babies. So we have young mothers reaching out in terms of baby supplies, milk. Again, we had a Renwick & Company who came on board and gave us a lot of the supplies where we were able to contribute to these babies. But we have a lot of people reaching out for baby supplies as well. So that's where we are.
And another segment of this, as Mrs. Felicia mentioned, the children with special needs were really affected during the COVID pandemic. And we also made a contribution as well to that sector. And when we met with Mr. Dale at the unit, it was overwhelming that we did this. And it's something where when you go to the centers and you hear from the moms with the kids, and we have to remember those group of kids with their food. Some of them need special food. We had to get Ensure for some of them who can't eat. Some of them have serious challenges, and some of them were home. They wanted at school. So
and even now with school being reopened, a great number of them are not able to return to the classroom because these, and you mentioned that, Anissa, because the special needs students, some of them, they require transportation. As you indicated, the dietary needs are different and costly. The medication, some of them are the constant medication, daily medication, and then the parents are not working, and most times they are in single parent households, and so the parent now may not be working, and that is an absolute burden, and only those who are going through really, and people like you who have to respond to that need, really understand the stress that these households are under. So just reiterate for us how we can reach out and help, especially that group of individuals.
Well, there is a unit underneath the Ministry of Education for children with special needs, and you can speak to Mr. Dale. I think he's the officer, where he can assist and give you directions as to what is needed. My last conversation with him was really didn't have any list, because the list is so long, Lisa, that it is from food items, sanitary stuff, just basic things that we as normal persons take advantage of. And it gives me goosebumps because I've worked with them before, and I've been to some of their homes, and it's just a plea where the foundation has is willing to come out for persons to really support. You can even come through our foundation. We'll ensure that those persons get it. If you can't go to Denby, because some of the centers throughout the island and the different communities, so we are willing where you can contact Mrs. Felicia, where we can do this drive, because we have our outreach program on the Good Deeds Day, where we continue to do that sort of delivery to those persons. And I want to say to persons that when we mention Good Deeds Day, we don't mean just one day alone for activities, but pretty much an ongoing drive where we are a foundation that adores. We get it done no matter what day, what time, as Mrs. Felicia stated earlier. And also to ensure that we, with the tagline, which is do good and don't leave anyone behind. And this is what Good Deeds Day is all about, where we help persons. Even if for today we help you, but we guarantee to get some assistance. And we're here today, Lisa, where we'll be going on the media to really create awareness where persons can just give a little. Even if it's through service, even if it's through coming and join the foundation. If you specialize in counseling, this is so much needed. And people want private, they don't want to go into the government setting of the counselors. And I don't understand why, because I'm not a counselor, so I assume that they want to be private. There's so many requests coming to the Donation Foundation, and we're here just to create awareness, to let St. Lucians know that this is real. During the pandemic and even after the pandemic, with challenges that person face on a daily basis, on a daily and even hourly. Mrs. Felicia get calls at 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, and you see she's sending the WhatsApp group, "Hi team, good morning. Hope you up or sleeping. Have you had a nice day?" And you know, Lisa, what is coming.
What's coming next?
That 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, so you have to be on the road dropping or trying to get something from you.
For you to be able
just
to
to make some
respond.
calls to get people, just to address the situation. And it is real. It is there, and we just want to create awareness where, and we are a nation, Lisa, that come together. We are persons who come together in good, bad time, and we celebrate. That's how we St. Lucians are. So we're just doing our best as a foundation to put the word out there, and you can go through our foundation, and we will deliver the items, especially to the vulnerable and the underprivileged groups of persons. And not forgetting the elderly as well.
And the elderly as well.
Yeah,
So
the elderly.
Yeah, and it's true, I've often said I have a sister with special needs, and so I understand from that perspective of family having to deal, with that sort of situation. It's not easy in the slightest bit. So any assistance that you can do via Donation Foundation, please reach out and assist. We'll be able to give people contact numbers and so forth as we close. But the counseling aspect is so important, and you've mentioned it throughout. And because when you have households under pressure, and I mean, we say that and then we laugh about it, and we say that during the pandemic, you found that people had to be home, and they just, and home for some, for many, it's not a happy place, and people were forced to be indoors, and so we saw a domestic violence incident, that was on the increase during the pandemic. You have, financial pressures that are really at everybody's doorstep and that sort of thing. Family relationships that were rocky before, they ended up being explosive. So in terms of donation, being able to, in fact, what are you hearing, what are you seeing from those who reach out to you?
In terms of that, I also forgot to mention another organization. I know there is another aspect that we saw arise as well when it came to suicide, persons completing suicide. So we actually partner with Jared's Keeper of Illinois, where we actually had a session on Facebook, on our Facebook page with the counselors, and the founder and CEO of Jared's Keeper, speaking to persons and encouraging persons to speak out, especially the men, because in suicide, you would realize that men are mainly the ones who complete suicide, not because they are weak, but because they are persons, or they are persons who keep everything on the inside and they don't really speak. And I can remember the counselor on that program asking the men to speak out. So in that, we saw a lot of increase in terms of, persons reaching out with depression, persons reaching out with, again, poverty. And, poverty comes in different ways. You would find that, one is accustomed to one lifestyle. I'm accustomed to wearing, what's the brand shoe, Calvin Klein. But now, due to the COVID pandemic, again, my salary income is not the same, and everything is different. So now I have to go to maybe using Old Navy slippers. So that, and not everybody.
You do know that's a brand too, I mean.
No, I'm just saying in terms of,
but
yes.
in terms of, but we get the drift.
Yes,
we get
yes.
the drift.
So you
want to
find
forget that catapult.
Yes,
yeah,
the catapult.
The catapult.
So yes, so you would find persons, sometimes it's very difficult to adapt to that change. So you would find them going through depression, finding them want to hurt themselves because they're not used to that kind of lifestyle. So a lot of it, and one of the things that, while speaking out, is that during the pandemic, a lot of persons were not able to take care of their obligations in terms of, maybe they have the bills to pay and they were not able to reach out. So you would find different persons going through, different, levels of stress because they are not able to really pay their bills on time, or maybe for a number of months they're not able to make a contribution. So that would have had an impact on people. So it was all rounded where we had persons going through that, and we had to reach out to them in various ways. Sometimes, yes, we are not able to help financially, but just listening, or maybe giving a word of advice, some words of encouragement. And these are some of the things that we did. We tried to create programs, like Anicia said earlier, that would give them information in terms of how to deal with certain situations. So this is what we did basically. We would have had the Fathers Rise, where we had about 45 fathers in one room just venting and saying what can be done better for men. So out of that, we were able to create and come up with the program. And then we had the where we spoke to the ladies, where we taught them how to prepare meals using, the potato, the cabbage, the carrot, which is right there in the backyard. So this is how we tried to help in terms of dealing with some of the issues that we saw arising. Sometimes we would have gotten a call. I remember getting a call at maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and like Anicia said, I had to call everybody, because this lady reached out and she was like, I have no food for the children. And I was like, what's the age? And she's like, one is about 6 months, the older one is about 7 years. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, I don't have a gas tank, I don't have gas, I have gas, I have a tank, but it's empty. And it really was heartwarming when we were able to come up with items, and all we did was ask her for directions where she lived, and she never expected that we would be coming, and there we were with the items, with gas, with everything, and she was able to take give her children a meal. But one of the things that was really heartbreaking is that, how you saw these children, this 5-year-old boy was willing to lift up that tank of gas and bring it in. Yes. So these are some of the situations that we have out there, and that is why we're asking persons to come on board and support the work. Maybe there may be some other organization that they work with, but support the work of the organizations in terms of what is being done, because there is the genuine need for support, not just financially, but emotionally. There is the need for that.
Yeah, and we reaching out, because that's important. Sometimes our neighbors may be going through a very, very troubling, tumultuous time, and because we don't, out of pride, we don't want to expose what our vulnerabilities are, because we're afraid that people will now begin to become the talk of the community and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's important for those of you or those of us who are in need, because we all have various needs, for us to reach out, talk about it, because sometimes you just may need emotional support.
Yeah.
You're going through something and you may feel that you're the only one going through it, until you begin to open up and realize, but there are others like me out there, and then in doing so, you can now begin to help yourself, you're helping others.
Right.
Reach out to Do Nation Foundation. Just listening to you, I can understand that, St. Lucia, while we are movers and shakers, we can get, if we come together, we could really do a lot for our country.
Yes.
So how do we make contact with Do Nation?
Okay, so Do Nation Foundation, Do-Nation Foundation. We are actually on Facebook. We could be contacted at telephone number 727-8231, or we could be contacted at dfelicien.do.nation@gmail.com, or through our events team.
Miss Anicia, you have a contact?
Yes. My contact is 489-0911, and we have events.donation.com@gmail.com.
All right. So for individuals who want to volunteer, those who want to donate, and for those of you who are in need of assistance. So these are the contact points so that you can Do Nation Foundation.
Yes.
I love it. And let's not forget that on the 2nd of April, your activity is coming up. Where is it being held?
It's at the Derek Walcott Square. And again, we're going to have a lot of organizations. We have the Vulnerable Persons Unit, who is going to be there, the Ministry of Health, who's going to be there. And, sometimes persons worry about, some organizations coming and that they would be featured. One of the things that we want to say with Do Nation Foundation, of course, we have to be accountable when persons give items. But one thing that we guarantee, any receiver, that we don't put their pictures on Facebook. So we would have cropped it out in terms of removing some information that may be able to identification. So we don't do that, because we believe that some level of respect and integrity has to remain with the persons, even if they are vulnerable.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming through and for exposing us to all of the good deeds that Do Nation Foundation is doing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, St. Lucia, for watching today's program. I'll be back with you on Tuesday, 22nd. The time is going by so quickly. It's difficult. So see you on Tuesday morning. I'm Lisa Joseph. Until then.